Good morning. Wait, hold on. I gotta turn on my. Okay. All right. That I did not have my technologies on, and there was no audio at the first part of that there. Hopefully, there's some audio now. Let me know if there's no audio or if there is audio. Should be newfangled, fancy remote mic and everything like that. So we should be good to go. Give me a thumbs up or something if you can hear me okay. Turn on some lights in here, you know. But I thought I'd just hop on and do a little live stream here. Friday. A little bit of Friday going on here. How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing out there? We've finally entered fall. Hi Scott, Saskatchewan. I'm assuming you can hear me okay. I need to figure out a better phone mount for my phone here. How's the weather in Saskatchewan? So it's finally acting like fall around here. It's finally cooled down, and that's kind of nice. We lost connection there for a minute. Good grief. Okay. Let me see if I can filter this for all comments, all messages. 50 degrees in Saskatchewan. That's great. Should be that temperature, right? It's not super bright in here today. Bob, how's it going? All right, well, I'm limited as to where I can put this phone here because if I move it over too far this direction, I will lose the internet wavelengths or whatever it is. Yeah, Idaho does go right up to Canada. One time, I drove up there with my wife and we looked across to Canada, and then we drove back. But the mountains got a lot bigger across the border there. It was interesting to see that. So yeah. AJ, is 15 and 20 a good steel for a big Bowie knife? Yes. Yes, I would say so. Caveat, of course, being properly heat treated. But yeah, 15 and 20 is a very tough steel. And compared to the whole continuum of tough steels, it's quite tough. A good application for that. Jonah, I'm sorry you lost your dad. So, the title of the live stream is, what is it? What did I put on? Oh, that's not a Puukko. That's what I titled this live stream. So my goal for today is to talk about why this is not a Puukko, and maybe get into. I gotta build. I'm gonna build a couple, but I gotta build. Well, this isn't quite right. I need to fix this profile. So let me fix the profile slightly here, and then you guys can guess what this knife is. I'm sure some of you are gonna figure it out. It's probably not what you would initially think, however. But I need scissors. I need some scissors, man. I don't have any scissors, but I do have these metal snips. So I need to fix this profile a little bit here. It is not a carpet knife. So deer hunting in Minnesota, eh? That should be good. This is more of the profile that my client wants. So you see if you guys can guess what that is. It's not a carpet knife, but I'm gonna probably make a couple of these because I've actually had more than one person ask about them, and this fella ordered one, but I gotta get this made. I don't think I'm gonna forge this. I'm gonna do a stock removal on this very specific profile. I could forge it out. I don't think that's what I'm gonna do in this case. I think we're gonna just make it. And as far as the stock thickness, I think 5/32 would be about perfect, but I don't know if I have that on hand. And I don't know, man. Maybe I do. What's this? Yeah, that's 5/32 right there. I think I'm gonna go with 52/100 because it's more better. Okay, well actually there's gonna be some forging involved here probably because I can't get this out of a 1.5 inch piece of stock, so I spoke too soon. We're gonna be doing some forging, it looks like. But first I wanted to talk about, well actually, let me think about this for a minute here. Yeah, that's the problem with stock removal is you end up grinding so much stock away, and I'd have to go to a 2-inch wide or something like that piece of steel to get this profile out of there. So no, we need to do some forging after all, actually. Anyway. But I did want to talk about why this is not a Puukko. I just did a video on this knife and the batch from whence it came. And this is one of 5 knives that I forged as a batch and made. And I actually changed the title of the video. To Knieve is actually the word, I guess. So, when it comes to Scandinavian knives, and by that I mean Sweden, Norwegian, Finland, Swiss. Is that Swiss? No, that's more of a Germanic. That's right, on the map there, thinking of the map. Anyway, those 3 countries in specific, they all have well-known knives. And so for the Finns, the Puukko is their knife, right? And then you've got the Scandinavian, well, what's commonly known as the Scandi grind knife, and that's common in the Swedish knives. And then you have the Norwegian knives. Now, all of these countries tend to have similarities between their particular knife cultures, and that's understandable because the environments are similar and the indigenous people lived similarly, not precisely the same, but in similar manners. And so there's a lot of similarities between these knives and these different cultures. But anyway, I made these knives and they all look similar to this. The blades shapes are a little bit different in different lengths, and there's variation within the traditional knives themselves as far as the blade length and shape and everything like that. And so, you know, people get on there and say, it's not a Puukko. Okay, well, you're right, it's not a Puukko. And I guess really the main reason why I use the word Puukko is because, and this is probably, so, I mean, I changed it because, you know, it's not really a Puukko. It's more of a Norwegian Norse knife, or kniv. And that is the name. I think Puukko is just the Finnish word for a knife. But it's recognized, and that's why I originally used it for the title. I don't really care. It's not a Puukko, so I changed it. But people know what a Puukko is, but I think they don't really know what it is. I think they know it as a Scandinavian style knife. And so, like it or not, I think the word Puukko has takes on a larger meaning or connotation for most people. And so when you say Puukko, they, I think, have a specific idea in their mind as to what it is and what that means. And so that's why I originally used that in the title. And I could probably find a Puukko that looks very similar to this. Because like I said, there is variation within the particular knife genres like that. They don't all look exactly the same. However, I do agree that this is probably more similar to the Norwegian knives, or knivs. And that makes sense to me. But I want to talk about this knife in particular, this not Puukko knife. And that's the other thing too, the Scandinavian grinds, or the Scandi grinds, the term Scandinavian is broader than just Swedish, right? But those are the knives that specifically have a Scandinavian grind, and then the Puukkos too, I guess, do usually. But this does not have a Scandinavian grind. I'm not really a fan of the Scandi grinds, primarily because of the well, there's a couple things. The edge strength right at the apex of the edge on a Scandi grind is typically less than a blade like this that has a full flat grind and then a primary bevel. So there's that reason. Then as far as just the cutting clearance when it comes to general tasks, I like the full flat grind for all sorts of things. But that's what I did here. I forged these knives with a relatively thick spine. This is almost a 1/4 inch thick here, and then it's got a full distal taper to the point. This gives you a couple different advantages. It gives you a hefty tang thickness, hefty design to the blade. The spine is plenty adequate, and then it tapers down for good cutting qualities. And then when you put a full flat grind on there like this, you've got good cutting clearance, but you've also got more of a wedge shape to the blade that in some ways mimics the Scandi grind and some of the characteristics that people like the Scandi grind for, that being sort of that aggressive wedge shape. It's not quite the same, but it does mimic that in some ways, and I think the other qualities to this design are preferable in general to the Scandi grind. So that's why I did it that way. And then it has the guard here. Now I really like this method of doing it. This is a brass guard. I guess, yeah, you would call it a guard or a bolster even. But then, and this is a characteristic you see on the Norwegian knives. where the, I don't know, the finger, what do you call that? I don't know, where your finger goes there, but the handle material comes down to the guard, and you leave some handle material there. So you've sort of got a combination of the handle material plus the brass creating that guard there. And I think it looks good, and it feels really good. And it kind of provides an index for where when you want to choke up on the knife here. Instead of having just this really narrow sort of 1/8 inch thick piece of brass sticking down there, it's a wider rounded purchase point for your finger if you want to choke up real close on the knife, which you tend to do sometimes when you're whittling or carving, things like that. But then it also provides a very secure and comfortable protection from the blade. I just really like this knife and the design. I've made a number of Scandinavian-ish style knives in the past, and tried a few different design characteristics, and they've all been good, but I think that this is sort of the combination that I like the most, and I really think it works really well. And then of course it's a hidden tang, and the tang extends down to about here. When you forge a knife like this and the way that it's built, and you can watch the full-length video on this build, you'll see that there's really no concern when it comes to the durability or the strength of this knife design. Now, it's true that many hidden tang knives, and even many of the Scandinavian hidden tang knives, are not built this way, and they are built with a pretty thin, maybe insufficient even tang. Not insufficient for the true purpose of the knife, but you could call this overbuilt, and I like that. I think that that's preferable. This is not going to break on you any more than a full tang knife the same size. This is going to be just as strong, or at least so comparably close that it's irrelevant to even talk about. And so that's one reason why I like doing that real thick tang and ricasso area. Of course, the tang tapers down as it goes into the handle, but that's just not going to it's not going to break on you. If it ever did, then a hidden tang knife or a full tang knife would be right there with it. But I want to talk about sort of the reason, and somebody brought this up on one of the comments on the build video. People that call a full tang knife a Puukko, that's incorrect, which I agree with that too. Puukkos and in general Scandinavian knives are a hidden tang design. Now, don't get me wrong. I like full tang knives just as much, and depending on the design, that's preferable many times. But in this design, I really like the hidden tang. And one of the reasons for the original design like this, so all Scandinavian knives originate from a pretty northern environment, in the harsh climate that can be experienced there, and very cold temperatures, right? And so in the Puukkos specifically, and this not being a Puukko, but one of the reasons for a hidden tang knife is that when you're using a knife in a very cold environment, any metal piece is going to potentially stick to the skin, freeze to the skin, and that's a bad day, right? And you can't always wear, or don't always want to wear, gloves and stuff when you're using a knife for various reasons. And so having a knife handle that does not have any metal on it is often, in those cases, preferable. Excuse me. And you see that, I think Scott mentioned the birch bark handle, You know, you have wooden handles, and typically the Puukkos, they don't have the metal bolster or guard, and they don't have a pin. They just have a completely organic material knife handle, what it might be. And so that's an interesting factor too. And this is obviously not quite that, but it is closer to that than a full tang knife would be. And so in some cases, the comfort of the user comes into play with the hidden tang design. Adrian says not true. Sorry, I don't. What's not true? And maybe you're. Yeah. Yeah, my internet is moment. The wind's blowing a little bit and there's some rain, and so apparently that's no bueno for wires or something. Sarah and Randy, I have some very similar knives to these up on the website right now, and this out of the same batch, so you can check that out. Well, I'm a little closer to the internet source here, so hopefully that keeps it from conking out on us here. Weldon Carey, how's it going? Yeah, so where was I? Talking about this, how this is not a Puukko, how it's more of a Norwegian. And anyway, the word in Norwegian for knife is kniv, and this is more closely designed to what a Norwegian knife is, I guess. So, you know, at risk of misusing the word Puukko or whatever, it's kind of like kind of how the Swedish knives, the Mora knives, you know, it's general term for the Swedish style blades, you know. But I guess I don't really want to do that, so changed the title of the video to kniv, but nobody knows how to say that, so it just looks like it says niv. Anyway, but I really like this design, and I'll definitely be making more of these. And I would just say that, like I said earlier, it's taken me a long time and trying various different design characteristics and combinations to come up with this, and blades similar to this, knives similar to this. But I just like the combination. So anyway, I talked about the blade, what I like about the blade, and how it's a great all-purpose design. And then of course the blade profile comes into that as well, but that can vary a little bit, and maybe it should vary a little bit depending on what the main purpose of the knife is. But there's that. It's got a nice guard to it that you can grip and use in various positions. And then going on to the handle here, this is actually stabilized maple, which is pretty cool looking, but it's a nice smooth handle, so you're not going to get, you know, the hot spots or whatever over an extended period of use. But then it's also contoured very ergonomically and specifically to really fit in your hand in a very comfortable and with a positive grip. And I think that's super important for a knife you're actually going to use. And you've got a nice pommel on here, nice rounded off, so if you need to use that to you know, pierce something, you know, poking a hole in something, or, you know, carving out wood with the tip of your knife, anything like that, this is going to provide a very positive sort of point to use that point to your knife. And so really there's basically no corners on this knife handle at all except right here, and that's about the only spot in the knife where you're not actually going to contact it with your hand, really. Maybe if you hold it like this, that's about the only way, but even then, not really. And everything else is just ergonomic and comfortable and contoured. And I really, really like it because it's made to be used. So I'll definitely be making more. And I will say that I really like this blade profile too. I think this is a pretty traditional profile. It's kind of a bit of a drop point, but it does bring the point of the knife pretty close to the center of the axis here, which I think can be handy in a lot of cases. But anyway, that's my not Puukko. It's my Kniv, and why I like it, why I made it the way I made it. And like I said, it took me a while to figure out these different design characteristics because, and they're all somewhat minor, I suppose, but you put them all together and you get a really nice setup. In the past, I didn't make the guard like this. I didn't have the material coming down with extra thickness here. And I really like the way this is built and the way it feels in the hand. And you know, that's something that I get a lot. I think this knife looks good, and people, a lot of you would probably agree, but until you actually hold it in your hand, that's a whole nother level of understanding my knives, or this knife in particular, or any of them that I make. And I've gotten that feedback quite a bit, actually. So that might be one drawback to offering knives online, because people can look at a picture, but until they actually pick it up, it's hard to communicate that part of the experience. You kind of have to experience that for yourself. But anyway, that's kind of the rundown on my not Puukko knife. And put that back in the sheath there. Bullseye Ben, how's it going? Yeah, appreciate it, guys. If you double tap the screen on your phone there, it gives the video a like. Hey, Little River Forge, how's it going? Yes, sir. So that is the not Puukko. Well, what's going on out there, everybody? It's a Friday. You know, I don't talk about the current events on the channel here. It's a knife channel, but I am happy about the results. I'm pretty sure that's kind of the general consensus in this group here. I would assume typically how's the audio? Is it still good? Lots is going on. It says I'm good. I got the red lights and stuff. It's back? Okay. I don't know what's going on with stuff today, man. It's the internet has never, well, I shouldn't say never, but it's been good for a long, long time. But then we've got rain last couple days, and that seems to affects the wires here. It affects the electronicals. Yeah, Texas Buckaroo knife. Inspired you to make Puukkos, haven't turned back. Awesome. But is it a real Puukko? If you heard my conversation here, I've been guilty of using the term Puukko too generally, but that's cool, man. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the traditional, whether it's the Scandinavian variety flavor of knives, or you know, the turn of the last century, pre-bushcraft guys, you know, traditional designs that were born of practical and real use. So, yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think the record button is on. Still good on the audio? Wildfire Knife and Tool. How's it going? Drowning in crime and taxes in Washington. Yeah. John, appreciate it. Bullseye Ben, a hatchet or tomahawk AR buttstock? Alright, well. I'd have to think about that for a minute. Tornadoes at the beginning of the week. We're far enough west, we don't really... not that we couldn't, but we haven't had tornadoes in the last 4 years. So that's kind of nice. Alright, appreciate it. Audio's still working. Thanks, man. Yeah, I don't know how much of the conversation you got to catch on this, but like I said, it's real similar to the Norwegian style of knife. Bullseye Bend, dead center of Oklahoma. That's probably why more people don't live there, because Oklahoma has so many tornadoes. But you know what? It's funny. I was looking at a map of the results from this week, and Oklahoma is, from what I saw, is the only state that did not have any blue counties. Every other state obviously had blue spots on it. So it's kind of interesting. Oklahoma being the only one that didn't have a blue county, which is cool. Haven't done any deer hunting. I haven't taken the time. Just been too busy trying to pay the bills and the taxes and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard because everything's private land around here, and typically you have to pay money to go hunt on somebody's land, and you got to find, it's just kind of a hassle. So yes, I did. I signed up for Blade Show Texas. Put my deposit in. So yeah, I'm going to be at Blade Show Texas this year. And that was kind of good, getting up to Utah. Me and my buddy Rudy went up there and had a good time, and sold a couple things. But Blade Show West, it was a good, went pretty well. And so I guess it's kind of like, okay, well, if I can make that happen, I guess it's not going to be that hard to got over the original hump, right? So yeah, I know Atlanta Blade Show is the big one, but I don't foresee going to that in the near future. So yeah, moose. Got moose in Idaho, so we used to get to see those fairly often. Alaska moose hunt. Nice. What knife do I recommend? Well, I actually have a knife that I call the Alaskan Moose Hunter. and I'm not necessarily recommending that one. That would be an option, but I built that knife to be sort of a heavy-duty field dressing blade, because I had a fella up in Alaska who hunts moose ask for that knife. I made the moose hunter, but he wanted a guard on it, so a little better grip protection with that, and then I made it with a little heavier blade, so it's kind of a, I wouldn't say it's a tank, but it's a robust field dressing blade. But anyway, to not get long-winded, I would probably choose something like that, or just a drop point Skinner, about a 4-inch blade, and it just comes down to personal preference. Yeah, Nessmuck, that'd work. The Alaska Moose Hunter, I have they're typically 600 with the sheath. I've actually got a couple on there up right now for 575, because they've got the little they've got the 1/4-inch Macard on them instead of the 3/8. So I discounted it slightly, just a little bit. So yeah. So anyway, any kind of knife really that has I don't really like the clip points. And that's what's so funny to me is like, not that it's a bad knife, but the Buck 110 Hunter, it's I think it's been long sort of considered a deer hunting knife, and it's got a clip point, pretty aggressive clip point blade on it, and it's really not, in my opinion, the best field dressing knife. It's just not. It's a cool knife. I had one. I have a couple. I used to, but something with more of a drop point, or like the Nessmuck that's got the rounded off kind of point to it, is in my opinion, it's better. That clip point is just so prone to piercing either the guts or the hide, if you're trying to save the hide, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's more about the user than it is even the knife. But I think choosing a good tool, best tool that you can, that definitely helps. Do I have any discounts for disabled veterans? I think I have in the past. If you shoot me an email, we can talk about it. I don't typically outright offer discounts, just because I try to price stuff reasonable to the market for what I'm selling, and but we can work something out. So shoot me an email on my website. Collaboration with Pure Alaska, that's cool. Yeah, that should be a good time. I do want to go to Alaska one of these years and do something. But yeah. Well, I think maybe I should try to forge something here. See if this internet's gonna hold out for us. I need to get some progress on this this knife that I showed you guys. See if I get my. Hope my phone doesn't fall off. I just stuck up in the little corner right there. But anyway, this profile that I showed you guys, still good on the audio and everything, it looks like, so that's good. I'll show you guys this profile again. Maybe you can take another stab at it, no pun intended, as to what this knife is for, what the design is. And I could probably bring that in just a little bit. So, if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna probably start forging on this a little bit here. So I need to get it done a little bit here. But if I'm gonna forge it, I'm probably not gonna use that steel stock. I'm gonna use different piece. Yeah, Little River Forge, you're correct. That's correct. It is for a lineman's knife. Cutting wire, etc. And that's the reason for the inside curve on the blade there. Well, I'm a little concerned about the lack of ability to see what's going on here. Maybe I'll move the phone over here a little bit. See if I can get you guys a little better view here. Hopefully. Maybe. Yes, cardboard is pretty hard on knives, on the edge. Pretty hard on it. It's pretty abrasive. And yeah, it'll take an edge off pretty fast. I've used it as a sort of a test or a test medium for edge retention. But yeah, it's tough on knife blades. All right, well let's fire up the forge here. I got to move these. So not to move that too much. Never heard of sharpening a knife cutting up a Coke can. I don't know how that would help the edge. Get a new canister of MAP gas here. It's pretty handy. I use it for lighting the forge, soldering sometimes, a little bit of annealing at times for small stuff. Pretty handy. Pure Alaska. Wait, we were just talking about you. All good things. All good things. Well, we are finally in the season where it's fun to light the forge up and work in the shop. Because about 8 months out of the year, it's not so fun. But now we get to enjoy the warmth of the forge, eh? Which is right there. Can't really see it, but put the steel in, eh? So I'm just using a piece of 1/4 inch by, I don't know, what is that, like 6 inches, 2 inch wide. That's going to be plenty of material. I don't, that's okay. That one didn't want to go in, so we'll put the next one in. I'm not really trying to, like, conserve the steel to the extent that listen, if you're trying to make a blade and you run out of steel, or it's not enough to make the blade, then you end up with a knife that's too short, it's not the right size, whatever, so then you have to start over. I'd rather have a little extra material left over is what I'm trying to say. Especially on a knife that I've never made before. But you know, if you're just freehanding it and you're just building a knife, it doesn't really matter what the dimensions are. That's different. But this is a specific design and dimension, so I gotta make sure to meet that. So hey, if you're Alaska, I appreciate that. Thanks for the sub. Good Crusader, MD metal casting. I need to do some of that again. I actually bought some stuff to do that, but a long time ago I did some green sand aluminum casting, and that was kind of cool. But yeah. Clever name here. If you're interested in I got a couple build videos on the channel here for propane forges, so check those out. Search that on the channel. Hey Luke, how's it going? Working on a wrought iron 1045 pull hatch with canister cutting edge. Right on. Cool, man. I got to forge a couple Lineman's knives here today. So that's what I'm working on. Alaska uses the whetstone to sharpen your knives, and that's what I do too. I've been using that diamond, Sharpall diamond stone for a while. It's still working pretty good. Yeah, I'll check out Pure Alaska. Sam Bell and Sons Forge Northwest misses your expertise. Well, thank you, sir. Who knows? Maybe we'll make it back up there one day. I'm not gonna lie. The shift in, the hopeful shift in direction with our country should be beneficial, because it's what's crazy to me is I remember what it was like 4 years, 5 years ago, and I remember what it's been like the last 3 years ago, and anyway, I can look at that and I can see the impact economically. So, and that's obviously what everybody else is able to do too, and that's why one person got in and the other person didn't, and that's the way it should be, right? All that to say, who knows, maybe things will be a little more flexible or whatever. I don't want to say too much. I'm just saying, like, money is freedom, right? And the further your money goes, and the more you're capable of making through effort, then the more potential freedom you have, right? Anyways, that's right. What is a lineman's knife? It's well, let me get my template here. What do I do with it? It's made for cutting like big copper cables or wires, you know. But it looks something like this. This is my template here. And I don't know, it's probably not going to be exactly like that. I'm going to probably tweak it just a hair, but that's the general idea. You've got that inside curve to cut that cable. All right, up here, Alaska, get some work done. Yeah, so anyway, it's a positive change, absolutely. I mean, I'm happy with the result. I'm looking forward to the next 4 years. You know, see what kind of positive direction we can go as a nation and individually. So. The insulating the worker isn't really the issue, or part of the design. I'm working off of a design off of a existing knife that my client showed me a picture of, and it's a full tang design. It is a micarta, and that's what I'm going to use. That's what he wanted. But as far as the actual insulation value, that's not factored into the knife design, of course, with the full tang exposed like that. So can't be using it on live live wires now. But anyway, I think the first thing I'm going to have to do is forge down this this stock a little bit, because I think it's a little heavier than it needs to be. Little River Forge. You can check out some of my builds and give me some pointers. I can't seem to get any traction for followers. Yeah, if you yeah, I'll try to do that. I'll try to. You're just talking about your channel. I'll try to look at that real quick. I will say, and maybe this kind of plays into the whole economic thing. I don't know for sure, and I don't want to place blame where it's not, you know, warranted. Maybe I'm just not as good at making videos as I used to be, or something. I don't know, but I have personally noticed and I'm not the only one, to be honest. A big downturn in subscribership acquisition in the last, I guess it's been a couple years now, but definitely the last year and a half. And that's been a real thing. I mean, even remember like 6 months ago, I saw Alex Steele, the well-known Alex Steele channel, made a comment that he's not growing subscriber-wise, or wasn't back then. Maybe it's changed for him a little bit. I don't know. So anyway, the point is I know that I haven't been the only channel to experience that, and all that to say, yeah, it's kind of been tough, man. So yeah, I hear you. Professional noodler. Get any catfish lately? Noodle up some catfish. So yeah, I honestly, just off the top of my head, I don't really have a solution for you. I'll try to give you some pointers. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, YouTube is rough these days. It's not what it used to be. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that's been my experience. So Little bit for, yeah. Yeah, if you can go get yourself some old drill bits and something, and there's guys getting millions of views doing that stuff on the knife builds. The sort of sensational type builds, with the crazy materials. And I've done a few of those videos or something similar to that, but I am not going to just make something that is merely sensational. I just don't really have the desire to do that. I could probably make some of those videos and get a bunch more views, but my focus is high quality, legitimate knives, builds, and stuff. So that's where my focus is. And if that means less views on YouTube, then I guess that's the way it's going to be. And my business is actually selling high-end knives to high-end people to use. So, that's kind of where I'm at. Not that I'll never do another interesting materials video again, because I do have something planned, but that's not really my focus. So, Etsy, not to complain, but that's another platform that ain't what it used to be honest. Because I started on Etsy. My wife put up a shop on Etsy for me. It's been 8 years ago now, and those were my first online knife sales. And back then, 8-10 years ago, yeah, it's been 8 or 9 years ago now. Anyway, Etsy was a great platform. It was, in my experience, it was big enough to actually reach a good market base, and they did prioritize that, it seemed, but it was still small enough that you weren't totally lost in the hustle and bustle, and it was still geared towards truly handmade artisan type crafts, whereas today Etsy is just, in my opinion, it's just another eBay almost. Like there's no real standards as to what kind of stuff people sell on there. I mean, yeah, it's like has to be stuff that's geared towards crafts persons or something, but that's not really the same. So not to lament and bemoan, but that is kind of the thing. Oh yeah, professional, just another eBay. That's what I said. Hey, that's what I said. And that's the other thing too, is like with all the, and that's a problem. Okay, so here's something to think about. Anytime something becomes popular, somebody is going to capitalize on that, and they're going to offer a knockoff imitation of that popular quality thing, and they're going to market it to people, to the general public, but people who don't know what it is and what the real thing is, right? So yeah, Meal Power Forge, it's Samuel, I'm not on Instagram, so no, I haven't been aware of that. I haven't followed. I've heard about how they're anti-cutting tools, but I'm not on there, and I'm not going to be on there because I'm not a meta. I did finally get a Facebook page for Fire Creek Forge, but I don't really, it's not much on there. I'm not a fan of Meta at all, so I don't really use their platforms. Anyway, what was I saying? Anytime there's a popular product or anything like that, people are going to come in with a counterfeit version, a cheap version, and market it to people who don't really know any better. And so that's what you've got with all the knife stuff. You've got foreign-made so-called Damascus knives of unknown or questionable quality, and the average person who thinks that it's cool, but they don't know the difference, and they just see the price. It's like, oh, I can get a Damascus knife for $25. So how do you deal with that? Well, there's no quick fix, right? I don't think there's a quick fix, but I think this is what you do. I think what we have to do, guys, is we have to educate. We have to educate the customer, all right? And that's largely what I do here on Fire Creek Forge. Is at least that's one aspect that these videos have, is they educate the customer. And so they see what goes into the product. They can see how it's actually made, and then even see it being used or tested, which I have a lot of videos where I am testing the durability and edge retention of my knives. So they can see, oh yeah, these actually work well. You're not going to get that. They're not going to get that with Pakistan Forge or whatever they want to call it, you know? And so as a maker or a smith, that's going to have to be something that you probably do, is educate your customer, or your potential customer really, on what it is that you're offering and why it's better, or at least just what it is, and let them decide if it's better or not. But otherwise, they're not going to know the difference between a $30 Pakistan special or what you're offering. And then of course you just have to strive to provide the best possible product that you can. Understand where your product falls within the general market, and then understand how you can develop your own market for your product, and then price it accordingly. And there's always adjustments you're always making. Fresh noodler, I do make nest mugs. I might have one up right now, but I do make nest mugs, yeah. Yeah, any kind of exposure, media exposure. Yeah, it's kind of that's just kind of what goes into it. And then the economics of it too, I think, do play into it. I personally specifically noticed a downturn in my sales in the last couple of years, and as to where the trajectory was going. The overall, my overall financial situation stayed fairly the same, which isn't good, because as everybody knows, if your wages stay approximately the same and the price of everything goes up, you're not staying the same. But my point is that the trajectory plateaued out, and so I definitely noticed it. I guess the encouraging thing is, if we can make it through the last 4 years, last couple of years, It didn't really start getting too bad until the last 2.5 years, with all the money they pumped into the economy with the pandemic and stuff. But anyway, so if things improve, then we should be sitting okay. So anyways, yeah, I don't have a quick solution or explanation. I don't know of one. It's kind of a long game thing. But I don't think that's necessarily bad, because spikes in growth can also become spikes in the opposite direction. And so, hey Duck Rabbit, how's it going? I'm just working this piece of steel down a little bit here. We have plenty of stock. But I want to forge this knife from more of a inch and a half-ish dimension than the 2-inch. So I'm just forging it down a little bit. Yeah, that's the thing about YouTube channels, is that everybody's doing something a little bit differently, and that's another discussion. Do you chase trends, or do you slowly build your own little, I don't know what to call it, group on YouTube? Because if you follow trends, like we were talking about the knife material videos that are still getting a lot of views, then if you can chase that trend and get some views and some subs and stuff, but it's not necessarily going to last. And then you're also stuck with doing whatever the trend requires you to do. No. Yeah, I appreciate that. Samdal and Sons. Building a community. Is that the word I think that's the word I'm looking for, yeah. So yeah, and on that note, and I've thought about doing a video on this, and I don't know that I will or not, because I don't know if it's worth it or not. But YouTube used to be a significant portion of my income a couple years ago, and then as far as I can tell, without me changing anything personally, it ceased to be a significant portion of my income. And they switched over to pushing shorts and I guess lives and stuff and different things like that a couple years ago now. And that's when I really started to see things change. But I think simultaneously is when inflation really started affecting people. And that's the thing on YouTube too. You make money through advertising, companies advertising on your videos, and when companies are spending less money on advertising, you could potentially make less money on YouTube. And so all these things kind of together, YouTube is not a significant portion of my income anymore. I'm still putting content up. But what I'm trying to say is that really kind of, in one way, is a freedom, because in the past, when I was making some money on YouTube, helping pay the bills, I really kind of had to juggle between, making videos that I wanted to make or that I thought were quality, but also try to make something that people wanted to watch. And so that's a little bit of that trend following, I guess. Maybe a little bit. And, I don't really have that concern anymore, because even if I did the Indian drill bit chopper video like we were talking about, YouTube just doesn't, in my experience, doesn't pay what it used to. And so there's really not the financial motivation there that there used to be, because thankfully, the vast majority of my income is from selling knives, making and selling knives, which is what I started out doing in the first place. And YouTube has always kind of been a auxiliary to that, and it helped, it gets my product out there. And I do enjoy teaching about and talking about metallurgy and smithing and everything like that. So it's not been a bad thing by any stretch. I'm not saying that, but I don't have to play the YouTube game. And so what I'm trying to say, I'm pulling a Trump here. Sorry, I'm wandering off the road here. Point is I've been thinking about lately is, this is more of an opportunity. So I'm not getting a lot of subscribers, new subscribers and stuff, but that's okay, right? Because I can kind of focus a little more on how to build that community. And so we're not going for vast quantity of subscribers. We're going for quality, right? And so I've been thinking about kind of how to do that. There's some things that I wish I could do right now that I can't do right now, content-wise, when it comes to that part of it. But anyway, that's just something I've been thinking about, and I don't really have much more than that. But anyways, hey Steven, how's it going? Just do shorts. Yeah, so I'm more free to do what I want to do now, and I don't know. I haven't been super motivated about YouTube for a little while, so this is fine though. This is fun, getting to kind of interact with you guys, and that's more about the community side of it. So that's cool, man. Little River Forge, yeah, I have made a couple billets in the past for sale. So that's the thing I have done and would do. I just haven't had a lot of demand. I've had a few people ask me about it, but anyway, if somebody wants that, then yeah, that's something I can do. I do think that people sometimes people who have asked me maybe haven't shopped around for Damascus prior to talking to me, because I have had people kind of shy away from what I would need to charge for it, and that's at a lower rate than what you're gonna pay for a lot of these other places, but it's something I would be willing to do. Duck Rabbit, yeah, streaming the videos. Yeah, Steven, thanks for being here. That's one of the things about the lives, right? You know, there's guys that get more fancy and stuff. I'm not too fancy, I'm just out of the shop here, you know. But thanks to Everything Yukon, who sent me this mic, at least we have good audio now, right? Except for when it cuts out, but it's been doing all right. So anyway, you don't have to edit lives, you can just do stuff and interact, and that's a cool deal. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a professional YouTuber. You know, there's people that obviously that their whole gig is to figure out how to get views on YouTube, and so that leads them in different directions. And I'm not interested in doing that at all. That's not my gig. I'm a bladesmith who has a YouTube channel, so that's the way it's going to be. Well, we're a little slow on the views today, though. You know, people must be at work or something. Is that what's going on? People must be at work. I don't know. Where'd my template go? I was trying to pull my. Here it is. This is what I'm working on. I'm building some lineman knives here for cutting wire or whatever. But I'm working the stock down from 2" by 1/4 inch. This is a little closer to 1.25" now by 1/4 inch, and I'm gonna forge the blade from that. And this is more stock than I need, so I'm gonna end up with a little drop, and it's probably gonna be, I don't know, it might be too small to really make anything out of, so it's always a little sad when that happens, right? You don't have enough for 2 knives, but you have enough for 1 big knife or 1 regular sized knife, and then nothing else. Yep, that's right. Knife makers with YouTube channels. Yeah, Duck Rabbit, get back to handstanding. It's more fun. Hey, Steven, thanks. Yeah, my daughter made that video completely on her own. She filmed it, edited it, narrated it, and yeah, she did a pretty good job for a wee lass. Little River Forge, yeah, if you email me, it's firecreekforge@gmail.com, so you should be able to send me an email. Okay. See you later, Duck Rabbit. Don't have too much fun hand sanding, but you know, have some fun hand sanding, I guess. Oh man. So, Little River Forge, what kind of steel did you use on that Lineman's knife? I'm curious. Series 2. Cool. Alright, see you later. Bullseye Ben. Here's what I'm gonna do, guys. This is what I'm gonna do, all y'all. I'm going to end this live stream. I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee, and then I'm gonna start a new live stream that has something like Forging Live in the title or something like that, because I think we've exhausted the. I don't know. I'm gonna reboot this, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna get off of here. I'm gonna grab a cup of coffee and kick off a new live stream where we're actually forging, because the title of the subject matter is, it's not what we're doing now. So that's what I'm gonna do. Hopefully we can spice up the views a little bit. That's not what I meant to say. More views, whatever. So anyway, appreciate you guys, and I'll be right back on here in just a few minutes. And I'm not gonna pick my nose on camera. But anyway, see you guys in a minute. Thanks.